Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Radio Works World. My name is Gill Barham, and I am the Miracle Molecule host. And today I have a guest all the way, well, he's not from Australia, but he's living in Australia. My guest this morning is Skip Archimedes. Hello.
G'day.
G'day. You just put that accent on, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, very English I am.
Very English. Okay, so Skip, now I'm very pleased that you've joined me today. I've got a couple of Australian interviews. I've come into my studio this morning early so that I can do interviews in my morning and your evening, because it's about 7 o'clock where you are, isn't it? Yeah. So you've been up all day and had done all the things that you've done already, and I'm just starting my day. Okay, so before we get going on my light-hearted conversation with you, what I'd like you to do first of all is to tell everybody in the world, in case they don't know who you are, what you do and what you love to do and why you do it.
Awesome. So I now get to have the privilege of traveling all around the world. Philippines. Last week we was in Nepal, and I get to run these live events in Singapore, in Malaysia, in the Philippines, I've mentioned, in Spain, in the UK. Soon we're launching over here in Australia. And what my events do is they really plug people into their full potential. And when I mean really getting the most out of bodies consistently every single day in ways that feel good, not where you need to be motivated to go and do a workout. And they also learn how to nourish their bodies with the right types of foods that are going to give the body what it needs, not break. Most of us are living on foods today that are jacked up with chemicals, or they're dead, or they're harmful effect on the human system. And so we get those things working in harmony, the body and the mind. And also I plug people into, how can I say this without it sounding too weird? Like, we're all walking around with these smartphones nowadays. And humans created these smartphones, and we're now using something called Wi-Fi. Now, with Wi-Fi, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, but you know it's there, and you live with it every single day. And if there's a day where you can't get Wi-Fi, where you can't upload and download things, what do? We stress out because we're not getting connected. Well, even though humans created this, and it's pretty intelligent, for us to have human eyes that can see and literally make millions of distinctions every second, for us to have a nose where we can smell, where we can breathe as well, where we've got organs in the body, where we can taste, we can touch, we can decide what things mean to us. We're walking around in the most phenomenal computer system on the face of the planet. Learn that it's not user-friendly. So you have to learn some things that you have to start implementing every single day. And when you do that, like the non-physical, the non-visible Wi-Fi connection is the same as what we connect, or how we connect to our creator. And like just out here, you can't actually see here, like the sea is just there. Now there's an intelligence that's making the waves move in and out. There's an intelligence that's making the trees grow. There's an intelligence that's making your heart beat. There's an intelligence that is literally making the trillions of cells that make up your physical body, that makes them, in a year from now, most of the cells in your body a year from now are brand new cells. So what is this intelligence? Well, we can all connect to it when we connect to our own inner wisdom, our own inner strength, where we go inwards, because the truth is, everybody actually already has the answer. People don't know how to access that part of themselves to get the answers that they're looking for in this crazy game of life. So what I do at my events is I plug people into that truth, and we have the most miraculous transformations in all walks of life. I'll give you an idea of how diverse and how widespread these transformations are. Spain. And this lady was born not being able to hear. She had 6 operations throughout her life to try and hear. Each one obviously failed because she couldn't hear. When she got to 40 years old, they told her that, we're really sorry, there's nothing more we can do. We can't do any more operations because you've got too much scar tissue in your ears. and you can't have a hearing aid fitted for what your condition is, we're really sorry, but you're going to have to spend the rest of your life with no hope of ever hearing again. So she was 40 and 53 years old. Not only did she not hear for that time period, but she had no hope of ever hearing again. Anyway, she heard that I'm called the Miracle Man. She goes, oh, you know, you're the Miracle Man. Can you heal me? And I said, well, look, I didn't call myself this. I got named that out in Asia. It was the press that kind of picked up on it, and then the public kind of ran with it, and it kind of stuck. I said, but what I can do is, instead of me doing it for you, because otherwise that would be like me being your, say like your personal trainer, and I want to get you to the gym to get your body stronger, to get you more balanced, to help you lose weight, to help you shape your body in the way that you want to shape your body. But this particular day, you tell me that you're tired, and can I do the workout for you? It doesn't work that way. Otherwise, I get the strength if I do the workout. So at the event, I will plug you into the intelligence that all life gets plugged into in a way where you learn. And if your belief system is open, then miracles can be born. Anyway, on day 2, this is not even halfway through the event. On day 2, we've just watched the sun rise out the sea. And she drops to her knees after about 10 minutes, because there's 49 processes that I take people through on that particular event. And I don't know how I know what's happened. And I said to her, I said, look, you need to tell people what miracles just happened here. And she goes, how do you know? And when we have deaf people come, we have people doing sign language, and she wasn't looking at me. And to cut a long story short, she, her ear went pop about 10 minutes before, a few minutes before that. And she started to hear the waves, and she started to hear my voice. And to cut a long story short, she now has perfect hearing in both ears. Now, that's one side of someone having physical transformations. We just ran an event where we had one of the dragons from Dragon's Den there. We had lots of really powerful business owners there. Someone who's got one of the biggest juicing company in the UK. And I'd never done that event for people in business. However, when you change, when you transform, everything in your life transforms. Why? Because you're taking you into every situation. So I have the pleasure of running these events all over the world, and you can obviously tell a little bit that I'm quite passionate about what I do, because the results we get are just staggering. You know, it really does transform people's lives, and I think that's what this world needs now, because we know change is going to happen. We have to do nothing. The body gets lazy, the body gets fat, the mind gets lazy, we get idle, we start to not do the very things we should be doing, and life becomes a struggle. Whereas when we activate ourselves, and we activate our mind, body, and our spirit, and I coach top celebrities, I coach top business owners, this stuff is what the world needs. And this is what I believe is the awakening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So, oh, I've got an echo because you haven't got your earphones in. So I'm going to get you to come onto my Vitality show, Skip, and talk a little bit more about what you do. I'm running a Vitality show from October onwards. So we're going to explore much of this, because obviously what you do and what I do is very, very simpatico. You know, I'm all about health and vitality and about connecting and all that kind of thing as well. So, but we're not going to talk any more about what you do. This rest of this show is actually all about you.
Wow.
So now, I don't know if you know a show called Desert Island Discs on BBC Radio 4. Don't know. So Desert Island Discs is the longest running show on BBC Radio. And I really love the show, and I base this show on that show. And it's because one of the things I love about it is that Kirsty Walk interviews, there's been a number of interviewers on it for years. And what she does is she interviews people from all walks of life. And through a series of questions around music and their music choices, and imagining that she's going to send them off to a desert island and she's going to give them a couple of books and they get a luxury. She finds out a little bit more about episodes of their life and times of their life. And what it does is it gives you a real insight into that person. because I don't know about you, but we tend to make kind of judgments about people either because of what they do or the way that they come across or whatever. And so what I wanted to do was to create a platform for people of significance who are making the changes such as you are in the world, and give you a platform to just give us a little bit of an inkling into your journey, just at various snapshots through your life, on the basis that people are more likely to work with you if they know, love and trust you. Would you agree?
Awesome. 100%. People saying, I think it's by Jim Rohn, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah, and that really caring for people builds trust. And without trust, there's no relationship, or no successful relationship can be built without trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've done is I have a standard set of questions, and everybody, and there are going to be 52 people, one for every day of the week, that will have been interviewed by the end of this series. And all of those interviews are going into a book called Your Heart Matters, Light Hearted Conversations with People of Significance. And that book is going all around the world next October, following the Jules Verne route around the world in 80 days. So you will be a published author in that book. You will have your own entry into the book from our conversation that we're having today. And it's starting in London in October. I'm going to read where it's going. It's going to Egypt, Bombay, Calcutta, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Yokohama, San Francisco, New York, Bordeaux, Cobbing in Ireland, and back to England in December.
Amazing.
So, yeah, it's really exciting. So basically, just to tell everybody, you don't know what I'm going to ask you though, do you?
I've not got a clue.
And the reason for that is I really actively don't want people to watch other shows, because I want your reactions to come really off the hip, you know, off the cuff, or whatever the expression is, so that we get to see a little bit about you. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool. Okay. So the first question is really around a scenario. So I'm going to put you into a nice hotel, and you're going up to a very nice lunch on the top floor of this hotel. You walk into the lobby or the hall, whatever it's called, and you go into the lift or the elevator on the bottom floor. One other person gets in the lift with you. And as you're going up to the top floor, the lift breaks down between floors 6 and 7. Now, there's some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that engineers call you and they say, sorry, you're going to be in there for a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours maybe. But the good news is 2 things. One is that you've got windows, so you're not going to become claustrophobic. And the other bit of good news is that other person that got in the lift with you is the person of your choice. So of anybody in the world, anybody dead or alive that you would like to spend 2 or 3 hours with, to ask all the questions, to do whatever you want with that person, who would that person be?
Wow. At this moment, because of what some of the things I'm focused on, I think it might be Tesla.
Uh-huh.
Purely because he was so far ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And only now, with him being gone for so long, are people still using his inventions from then. Yeah. And what he's what he's done for this planet now is phenomenal. And I know, I don't know, I've heard that he had some things far greater than even what's being released now when it comes to free energy, things that can naturally produce energy. So yeah. I'm all about energy, and I'm all about using technology to evolve mankind, and with machines and all this. And I just know some of the things that he created was very in alignment with nature, where we weren't ripping the planet apart from its resources. So I think, I'd like to spend a little bit of time with him. Brilliant.
You're the second person, by the way, that's chosen him.
Awesome.
A few people have chosen Elon Musk as well, for the same sort of reasons, really. These kind of innovators and game changers and disruptors, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, so you're in this lift then, and he's hungry too. So I'm going to magic you up an amazing table with lovely crockery and cutlery and all the rest of it. And like Harry Potter, I went to Harry Potter World last Friday, by the way, in Watford. It was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Just as an aside, with my 23-year-old daughter.
So funny, like it.
Who knew? Anyway, I'm going to magic you up some food. So I'd like to know, what food and drink you would choose to share with Mr. Tesla in your lift?
Oh my God! Now I've just trained as well. I've just got back from the gym. My golly, my body is craving food. So, and this might come to a shock for some people. I live on plant food now. I live on a plant-powered diet. I haven't eaten meat in 13 years. Nothing from an animal goes in this body anymore, because I really believe that the more conscious I'm starting to become, the more I really respect all living things on this planet. And I believe that they have their own little worlds as well. And so to begin with, it would be, and this might sound boring to some people, but it would start off with a green juice. And in that green juice would be something like kale, spinach, celery, lemon, apple, ginger, kiwi. Those things would go in the juice. Then we would have something like a nice big fresh salad with some great like lemon and extra virgin olive oil dressing on it. Then I would go with something like a soup, something like a pumpkin soup. And then after that, I would have something like a sweet potato with some types of stir-fried vegetables. And then for dessert, I would have a raw chocolate dessert, which is with raw cacao and avocado and frozen banana. Oh my God, I want to eat right now. Oh.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that is so good. Right, some of that I'm actually going to prepare in a minute.
Okay, and what would you drink?
The drink was
apart from the juice,
a green juice. So, but basically, when I eat, very rarely do I drink, because what happens is when you're eating your food, if you're drinking at the same time, it's like you're diluting the body of absorbing those nutrients. So I don't actually eat and drink at the same time.
Yeah.
So I would pass on the drink.
I think it's extraordinary when I tell them that is, you know, drink half an hour before you eat and 2 hours afterwards, because so many people are used to drinking water with their meals, thinking it's the right thing. But particularly as we get older, you know, we run out of digestive juices. Our, you know, H2O goes down. Our hydrochloric acid goes down in our stomach, and so many people have got these issues with poor digestive qualities. They go to the doctors, get some awful omeprazole or lansoprazole or whatever that basically will ultimately potentially kill them, and think that, you know, that's the right thing to do. So I'm with you, definitely.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So thank you for sharing that. Now I'd like to take you back now to the 18-year-old Skip. So would you share with us a little bit about where you are, where you were then, where you were living, what you were doing? What was life like at 18? Wow.
Okay, so 18 was such a big turning point for me. I'd just been diagnosed as being completely overweight. All of the health challenges that I had when I was a kid came back. So I was covered from head to toe with eczema. I had chronic asthma. All my allergies came back. So I had allergies to animals, to dust, to feathers, to pollen, to grass. And I'm not going to lie, life sucked. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like life. Yeah, waking up in the mornings, I hated it, because the thought in my mind is, oh, I've got to get through another day. I didn't like going to sleep at night because I knew I had to wake up again. Hit really bad depression. And when I say it was a turning point, it was, I couldn't find the answers in the environments where I was living. And
where were you living?
Well, I'd gone, my mother and father, I got to be the youngest kid to go to the Olympics of gymnastics when I was a kid. And that was when I was like about 9 or 10 years old. Then shortly after, so 10 years old. Then shortly after that, my mum goes and leaves my dad for my gymnastics coach. Oh. So my dad stopped me doing gymnastics. So a lot of the challenges came back because I found my love in gymnastics. I found my passion in gymnastics. It was the only thing I loved. It was the only thing I was good at. But then, because my mum had gone away with my gymnastics coach, my dad stopped me doing it. So between 11 and 18, that's when a lot of my big, challenges in life started. And, psychological ones, emotional ones, mental ones. And
showing up on your skin effectively.
And, I was on, I was having constant chest infections, was on antibiotics, at least 3 times every year. This body was not a healthy body. And I believe that the answers were in the medications, and because that's what we knew at the time.
Yeah.
So at 18 years old, all the environments where I was going to try and find answers weren't giving me what I knew was making me happy, and what I knew was giving this body what it needs. And I literally went out, and this might sound weird to some people watching this, but I went out and I just started talking to the universe. I just had this feeling inside of me that there had to be an intelligence behind what was going on. You don't just wake up in a human body. You know, I'd worked out using common sense that from something that goes from a tiny seed in your mum's belly to be able to grow into whatever this thing is, there has to be a design behind this life. You can't, evolution doesn't create a human body. A design behind it does. An evolution will allow us to unlock more of our full potential and learn how to take something from the fabric of our mind in and pull it into this reality. You know, common sense said, right, there has to be more to life than this. And I just went out there and I just started talking. I just said, look, there has to be something or someone that can hear me. And what has to change? You know, I want to be in a body I'm proud of. I want to wake up living a life that I enjoy living. And I want to be in a position that when I've learned this, I want to share this with other people that are in my position right now, because I know there's a lot of us here. And the guidance was really...
That was at 18.
Yeah.
All that was
going on. That was all happening.
Yeah. And what music were you listening to at 18, Skip? Can you remember at that time, that very dark time?
Yeah, a lot of it was gangster rap. A lot of it was bad boy rap stuff, which within those lyrics, there wasn't really a lot of respect for other people in life in those lyrics. And my guidance was real simple. Go back and do what you love. Yeah. And I went back over it took me a long time to actually get to listen to this stuff and then take action on it. And to cut a long story short, I went back to gymnastics. I found another coach. I did a year with him, and then had an accident in the gym with him. I broke my back, got told I was never going to walk again. Spent 6 months in traction in a machine just like this, moving up and down to keep the circulation going up and down the body. And basically got told that if you get out of traction, you're going to spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair. And I believed what I was being told. And after 4 months of being in this machine, my mum comes in and basically says, look, it's not game over. I found someone who broke his back and he came back fitter and stronger than before. And I was like, who? And she said, Bruce Lee. And I was like, oh, God, Mum, he's a movie star. It's not real. It's just movie stuff. And at that point, I hit the depression again. I didn't want to speak to people. I was like, Mum, get out. Just leave me alone. Just let me die by myself. And was on this downward spiral again. And it's funny how life always has a bigger vision for you. And quite often in those times of challenges, we can't see it through the human eyes. We have to feel it through our gut feeling. And that's one of the things that Bruce Lee taught me was don't think, feel. Yeah. And when I started to study Bruce Lee, and I started to study the people he studied, people like Krishnamurti, Confucius, and it got me studying the power of the very 3 elements of what we are. And it's the body, the mind, and the spirit. And when I learned how all 3 work in harmony, and I learned some simple things of how to fuel each one of those elements up, things started to change within me. And after 6 months, I just literally opened my eyes and something breathed through me and said, you're going to walk today. And it made no logical sense. It made no, there was no reasoning with what breathed through me. I just knew it was going to happen. And there was an unshakable belief that it was going to happen that day. And we had to sign papers to say that if anything went wrong, it was our fault. And basically I got them to take it out. I got them to take me out the machine. And when I stood up, and when you haven't stood in 6 months and you don't believe you're going to stand, and then you stand again, believe me, that was the day that I learned gratitude. Yeah. That was the day that I was so thankful for this very thing we live in. And, I just said, look, you let me stand every single day, and I swear I'll be one of the most grateful people that's ever walked on this planet. And, one of the nurses said, oh, my God, I can't believe you're standing. Should we get you back in machine now? And I said, no. I said, I told you, something breathed through me and said I'm going to walk. And they brought these little sort of ballet bars in, these little wooden bars. And, you know, I started holding these bars, and I took 3 steps holding these bars. And the next day I took 6, the next day 12, the next day none. And it kind of went up and down, till eventually I was free within this body again. And my mum just said to me, look, we've just witnessed a miracle happening here. You know, what are you going to do with your life now? Because you're independent again. And I asked myself the most powerful question there is, and this is the first question anybody who's watching this should be asking themselves on a daily basis. What do I love? What do I want to spend my time doing? Because if you're not putting love into what you do, life's not getting the best out of you. You're not getting the best out of you. You have to learn how to put love into every element that you're connected to in life. And I didn't even say anything. And my mum looked at me and she goes, you better not be thinking what I think you're thinking. And I said, look, Mum, I've got to go and do this. I said, because one of the things that I've learned is to follow my intuition, my inner guidance, my gut feeling. And this is guiding me to do this. And she's like, well, what if you break your back again? I said, I know how to heal it. I said, I've got no fear going into this. I have to do it. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I went back to gymnastics. And
how old were you when that accident happened, Skip?
I was... when the accident happened, I was 9. No, I was still 18. I might have still been 18. Yeah. And all of this happened, and I think it was when I was 21, I got the English Championship title.
Wow.
And it kind of freaked me out in a way where we're not scratching the surface of our potential. You know, we allow fear, we allow belief systems, we allow the ways that we've been programmed to really put us in a box. And, you know, this is one of the things that I challenge people to do at my live events, where I really get them to think and act out of the box. And when they're out of the box and they're out of their comfort zone, believe me, that's where life begins.
But isn't it also the fact that the conventional medical, and I trained as a nurse, I did a music degree and I trained as a nurse. And I didn't stay in nursing for very long because I didn't like the lack of holistic approach, basically. But isn't it true that so many people are trapped in their illness or in that same situation because they are so used to having a symptom that's being diagnosed, and then the doctor treats the symptom rather than treating the underlying cause? And you know, that's why in the UK we have this National Health Service that sees 1 million people every 36 hours, you know, overwhelmed with people.
Wow.
But, you know, it isn't a national health service. It's actually a national sickness service. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I know where you're at. It is a challenge because with that system, with so many people who don't know how to feed this thing what they need, with so many people who don't know how to use it, we're all looking for the quick fix. So I really try and look at things without judgment. And what I'd like to share with people is, your body's regenerating itself all the time. And if we go to the doctors to get these quick fixes in a capsule or a tablet that they call medicine, you have to know that there will be side effects with that. And what they've now started to put on, because they legally have to write in what the side effects are going to be. What they're now legally allowed to write is that the side effects could be death. That you can take these drugs, and here's the truth. The 3rd leading cause of death on the planet, pharmaceutical drugs. And this is not the wrongly prescribed medication. This is the correctly prescribed medication. So this is not people overdosing on it. This is people taking it exactly the way that their doctors have said take it, and people are dying of this stuff. So there has to be a change.
I agree. I call it the polypharmacy, you know, where you get onto one drug and then you need the other drug to counteract the effects of that drug, and then the side effects of that drug, and so on. And of course, you know, that's very typical. I've got a lovely message here for you, by the way, from Marina Nani, who is the owner of the platform Radio Works World. And she agrees with you. So true, Skip. What matters is not what you receive or you don't receive in your life, but what you do about what you receive or don't receive. In life. Very grateful for sharing your Stardust story. Absolutely. So, okay, thank you very much. I want to take another snapshot now at the Skip at 35. So what was happening at 35, Skip?
Wow, 35, I had an entertainment company, because what happened then was as soon as I got the English title, I started to get contacted by people who used acrobats for things like TV commercials, pop videos, those types of things. And they said, oh, you've got a very commercial look. Do you want to do this stuff? And I got in, like the first TV commercial I did way back then. It was for a women's deodorant called Well Woman. No, Secret it was called, sorry. And I got £10,000 for like 1 day's filming. And as a gymnast, the only money that you get would be from sponsorship money. You don't get money from winning competitions. You know, gymnastics is not a professional sport like football. Yeah. So I was like, hang on a minute. I've got more money in this in 1 day than I got in 6 months of training gymnastics. This is awesome. So I got into that. And when I was on, always on set, because I've got such a creative mind, I would ask, why am I here? Why do you want an acrobat, you know, in your commercial, in your, you know, pop video, or, you know, whatever it is that you're filming? And they would say, oh, we've got this car and we want to launch this and do this. So I would start to come up with ideas while I was on set. And they were very different ideas to what I got cast for. So eventually these producers and directors, they start to get to know me. And eventually when they had an idea for something, they would call me up and say, Skip, what ideas have you got? So I ended up bringing acrobatics into many different environments. I brought it into the shows at the Royal Opera House. I brought it into shows where, you know, we feel like 100,000 people in a stadium for these pop stars, whether it was TV commercials, whether it was shows in the West End. You know, I'd bring up these acrobats to all these shows, and I absolutely loved what I was doing. You know, we were turning over a lot of money, and was in that world. And then I started to get the calling to start sharing the message that I now share, because what happened was when I got the English title and people knew my story, you know, they knew I was never meant to walk again. And there I am being given the gold medal for the English Sports Acrobatics Championships. They were like, how did it happen? Now, 20 odd years ago, I started talking and said, guys, this concept of what we think life is not what we've been brainwashed with. You have to understand that we live in a vibrational universe, and that we're these vibrational beings, and we can plug into different frequencies, and depending on what frequency we plug into is going to depend on what we attract. Anyway, 20 years ago when I'm talking like this, frequencies, vibrations, people start to like go, okay, you got a good story, but we do not understand what you're talking about. And a few people started to call me a crazy man. So of course I didn't want anyone to think I was a crazy man, so I just stopped talking about that stuff and just got on with my work and never told people about my story at all. Anyway, about 7 or 8 years ago, because I'm 44 now, so just a couple of years after 35,
35
yeah, people then heard about my story, and I got invited to do a few talks, and people just loved what I was sharing. I was like, oh my God. A couple of decades later, people are actually ready to hear this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just went and done loads of free talks wherever people wanted me to go. And now, I mean, we have tens of thousands of people at our live events now. They're like rock concerts. Obviously, like the advanced trainings at the retreats and the advanced courses, that, you know, they're smaller numbers. But, you know, I now have the fortune of literally, you know, training tens of thousands of people every single year at the live events, and the transformations are epic. You know, I get so many messages every day now of how people's lives have really transformed. You know, this is not a gimmick. This is not a fad. This is not a yo-yo diet. This is people who are genuinely taking back control of their lives. Yeah. And them and their loved ones, you know, reap the benefits from that. So, yeah, I love it.
It is true, though, isn't it, that, you know, when I work with people, because people, I genuinely believe that most of the population know what they should do. Most people are intelligent, certainly the people that I work with kind of high achieving women, and they really know, you know, because most 70% of us have a really strong gut reaction or gut feeling, don't we? And so it's not that they don't know what to do, and it's not that they don't want to do. And my question is, you know, are you ready? Are you ready to accept that this is the reality? Are you ready to accept the change? Are you ready to accept, you know, those higher, that higher thinking, to accept that it's not just about food in, energy out. There's much more to it as well. And I think, you know, thank goodness we're in the world where we're increasingly seeing people that are kind of getting it and aren't thinking that people like you and I are crazy anymore. And I'm actually searching for
now I found a way how to communicate, information, whether I'm in front of a whole bunch of like high level business owners, whether I'm in front of people from the government, whether I'm in front of people even from the pharmaceutical industry or participants at the events. Or children. I mean, in Nepal, I just got back from Nepal, and they had me speak for one of their top private schools. And at this event, I had 250 of their kids there. And what's really important is that if you do become a speaker, or if you do want to be successful in life, one thing you've got to learn is how to be a good communicator. There's no point in just dumping more information in your mind and then regurgitating that information, because then we fall into the trap of drowning in all this information, but starving of wisdom. What we need is a planet full of wise people, a planet full of people that are there for the greater good, a planet full of people that are paving the way so that the younger generations have a better planet to live on than we have to live on. Because then human life will continue. If human life continues the way it is at the moment, there might not be much human life left on the planet in a few centuries' time. So waking up is and when I say waking up, I mean really being consciously aware of the magnificence, the intelligence, the wisdom, the magic, the strength, the balance, the flexibility that is inside every single one of us. And when people tap into it, they get to live the rest of their life playing the game of life in a way where it feels good to be a human being. Yeah.
Okay. So we have to get on with my quick fire questions now. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. And I don't want to do that because I want you to tell us more about the business at the end of the call. So we need to get through my quick fire round. So these kind of just require either or answers, really. Cool. So are you a TV or a radio boy?
I don't really watch TV and I don't really listen to radio. Everything I watch and listen to is by my design. I decide what's going to go on in here. So I'll listen to podcasts or watch certain inspirational, motivational things, but standard TV and radio, I don't really listen to.
Okay, that's fine. Are you fiction or non-fiction?
I love stories that involve like real life stories. That's what I'm all about, is like transformation. So the ones that are the real life stories that get to take people on a journey. You're now seeing some of the best blockbuster movies now on people's real life stories. So yeah, I'm in that one.
Biographical things, yeah. And are you the oldest, middle, or youngest child?
Youngest.
Oh, you're the baby.
I'm the baby. Yeah.
Oh, how sweet. And at school, say in after 11, were you the goody two shoes? Were you the class clown? Were you a bit of a handful, or were you sort of slightly under the radar?
A little bit of all of them. But I think I was a little bit of a handful because at 11, when Mum left home, I kind of went off the rails a little bit because I didn't understand what was going on psychologically. I didn't understand why my parents couldn't just be together. And where I lived, we were one of the first families where the parents got divorced. So I went from being like the hero of the school when I was like to be the youngest kid to go to the Olympics gymnastics, to being the loser of the school whose parents couldn't stay together.
Yeah.
So, but what I learned was life always gives you what you're ready for. And there were so many valuable lessons in that chapter. So,
okay, thank you. So what would you say at the moment, Skip, is your best habit?
My best habit, I think having fun. Having fun is it's something that needs to be, we do it naturally when we're kids, but we get so serious as adults. And if people start have a look at any of my Facebook stuff or Instagram stuff, they'll see I'm just having fun all the time. And okay,
perfect. All right, so what's your worst habit?
My worst habit of fall in the trap of being a serious adult.
Yeah, so there's the yin and yang right there. Yeah. And what do you do to relax?
Oh, so many things. I really love what I do. So relaxing is really needed because I go full out every day in life. So I do things like I love doing yoga, love, meditation. And, sometimes I'll listen to a podcast or an audio where I can just sit there and lie and just not think about anything. I mean, we live right by the ocean here. Yeah. So I'll literally just go outside, listen, to the waves and just take nature in.
How long have you lived in Australia?
Only a few months now.
Only a few months, okay.
Yeah, I'm still in England. I've still got my house in London, so I'm still coming back to do the events. But I've just, we've got another place out here now.
And now I know that this question is about nicknames, so that you've told me a couple. So you're the Miracle Man and the Crazy Man. Have you ever had any other nicknames apart from that?
I've always been called Skip my whole life. But ironically, some of the nicknames I had when I was younger were quite offensive. Which weren't nice ones. And it's really interesting because the labels that people give you, if you take them on, you become them. So if you are going to take something on, make sure you're taking something on that makes you feel good.
So what is your real name? What is your first name?
Skip Archimedes is my full name.
Yeah, so Skip is your first name?
Yeah, so everyone's just called me Skip. Yeah,
okay. I mean, that's kind of... it's kind of an endearing name anyway, Skip, isn't it? It's not like Colin, let's face it. No. Not to offend the Collins in the world. Arthur. And although my passion now is health and heart health particularly, and gut health, which is all my specialities, I mentioned to you that before I got into health, I did a music degree and I specialised in singing, and I still sing now. So if I was on stage and I got you up on stage with me, what would your karaoke song be?
Oh, wow. My karaoke song would be, it would either be Imagine by John Lennon. Mm-hmm. It would either be, as a slow one, if I wanted to do a fast one, I would, no, I think I'd pick Imagine.
Okay.
It just drops people in the hearts. I love that song. Although I like to get up and dance and shake it and do all that jazz as well.
Yeah, okay. All right, so my next question, before we run out of time, is I spent a month in America a couple of years ago with my husband. We've been together for 35 years.
Congratulations.
I know. And actually, one of the fascinating things about America was switching the television on and watching their adverts about pharmaceuticals, because we talked about this earlier. And in America, they say, buy my whatever it is, because they've got weird names. And that takes about 10 seconds. And then they spend the next 2.5 minutes listing all of the side effects, because they have to in America. They list all the side effects of that pharmaceutical. Anyway, that's aside the side. So we went off to America. Somebody organized the flights and the hotels for us. We did 8 states, 3,300 miles. We were together for 24 hours a day for the whole month, apart from one day. And we didn't have a crossword between us for the whole time we were away. So I'd like to know, if I organized things for you and took all the pressure out of it, who would you take on holiday that you could spend a month with without a crossword?
A girlfriend.
Okay, what's her name?
Michelle.
Michelle. Thank goodness you said that. Happy days. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And on the music theme, you know that we're creating a book, but what I also wanted to do was to create a playlist to go along with the book as well. So I'm asking each of my guests to choose one song to go onto my playlist that would make them feel light-hearted.
Oh, so easy. Pharrell Williams, Happy.
Happy. Okay, I think that's maybe the second or third person that have chosen that, but I'm quite happy for that. That's perfectly fine. Okay, and then very quickly, you've mentioned a few things as well already about, because you're in this industry, but maybe just give us a bit of an inkling, an overview of what you do to look after your heart. So I've written a book called The Heart of a Woman, How to Look After the Heart You Give to the World, which looks at two aspects. One, the heart that is beating inside of you. So in other words, your health, but also physically, or psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, how, you know, as women, we need to look after that side of ourselves as well. So just share with us very quickly, if you would, what you do to look after your heart from those two aspects. We know that you eat well. We know that you exercise. We have some inkling that you know, look after yourself emotionally with your meditations and so on. But just tell us, is there anything else that you do that you would concentrate or recommend that you do to look after those two aspects of your heart?
Yeah, massively. So you hit on two really good points about the heart. So the heart, part of it is a muscle. We don't know what makes that heart beat. We don't know what makes the heart give its first beat. But as we start to get older, the movement that we had naturally when we were children starts to dissipate as we get older. So one thing I do every single day is I make sure I move my body in a way what gets me out of breath, because you need that muscle to be strong. And the second thing, real simple, is if you want to feel anything in life, you have to give it. And feeling love is the best thing to feel in all areas of life. So I just go out there and give it in every situation I'm in as much as I can, because when that love radiates from you, that's where you become powerful. It's one of the things that I'm bringing back into the corporate world, not in a Nancy way, but in a way where people become more powerful, because when you love what you do, you actually access all of your brain. Most people are only using like one half of their brain, like their left hemisphere where they're logical, or their right hemisphere where they're more creative. When it comes through your heart, the energy comes through your heart and it comes all the way up, the whole of the brain gets activated. So yeah, go out there and share some love, spread some love, you know, go and do some good things. And it makes you feel good in the process as well.
It does. And, you know, it's very obvious when I've watched your feeds and is that, you know, and now I don't know whether other people can feel it, but I can feel that energy. I can feel that energy too. Marina's just put up, congratulations, Miracle Man. You've received your nomination. I nominated you for one of our Stardust Awards, by the way. So you should have got an email by now. If not, then I just need to make sure I've got your right email address. So well done for that.
Thank you.
So before we finish, just before we finish, I'd like you just to tell us then about business. So just in the next sort of 3 or 4 minutes, I'd like you to tell us what you're excited about, what's coming up for you maybe in the next few months. I'm going to put your website up where people can connect with you, and all your Facebook and all your feeds, basically Instagram, YouTube. It's all Skip Archimedes. So give us an idea about what's happening in Skip world over the next few months.
Awesome. Well, I'm constantly traveling and teaching. I love going into different countries and sharing these teachings. We're just about to be launching the events over here in Australia. We've got the first event coming up in 2 weeks. I'm working with, I'm writing a book at the moment, which we're launching that April next year. So I'm literally finishing off the last chapters on that. And I'm producing the movie at the moment, which goes along with the book. Where I've got about 15 of the planet's top their longevity secrets, which is very different than what most people think is real. We've got the events out in Philippines, in Asia, Malaysia, Singapore. We've got the next retreat coming up in Spain. We've got a retreat over here in January. It's non-stop. You know, I so love what I do. And, you know, taking people through the trainings is such a joy, because I get to see in such a short time period how people come in and then how they leave. And then we keep in contact with them, like, you know, 6 to 12 months after the event, and they're living what they've learned. So for me, it's just about expanding, getting the events out there in bigger ways, where I see the events building up to arenas where we're going to be having, what I believe, tens of thousands of people at each individual event, with what some of the things we've got planned, because being in the entertainment industry, we used to produce a lot of stuff, you know, big shows. And I really feel that what this industry needs is health needs that spark. Health needs that pizzazz around it. Health needs something so enticing that people don't live with the belief of, oh, I'm healthy, and then all of a sudden they find themselves being diagnosed with something, which could be life-threatening. Whereas when you get locked onto living the right lifestyle, because all I do is I teach what I live. And I can tell people now that nothing tastes as good as living forever young feels. And when you lock into that way of living, you feel younger, you look younger, you've got that zest for life, you are still connected to that child aspect of who you are, not where you're childish, but you're childlike in the way that you live life, where you see life through the wondrous eyes that children do. You absorb information as fast as children do, because the first time in human history now, we're now being taught that the grandchildren are teaching the parents and the grandparents new things. Never happened before in human history, and it's because of technology.
Yeah.
So when we can learn to connect to that child part of us, we learn to let go of things quicker. We learn to create new habits quicker, and life becomes a lot more joyous, a lot more loving, a lot more playful, and you get to love being a human being. So yeah, that's what we're sharing.
It's all about the love. Okay, so thank you very much. I've put your website up there for people to connect with you. All of those events I know will be put up there. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed our Light Hearted Conversation. I've really enjoyed it. Have you had a nice time?
Of course, I've had a lovely time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because it's all about the joy. So thank you very much. I hope to see you when you next come to the UK. Would love to come and speak on your stage. That would be fantastic. That would be a great opportunity. So thanks very much. Say goodbye to everybody across the pond, all the way around the world. Thank you very much.
Have an amazing day. Have an amazing evening. Good night, wherever you are.